Hey guys, how's it going today? I wanted to make a quick video on why the rise of gurus are ruining us. Essentially, this is kind of people who just sell things online or sell ideas online and claim to be experts at things when, for the most part, they're probably not an expert at something. They might be self proclaimed an expert, or they might come off as, that they know everything, but for the most part, they don't. So I wanted to kind of make a video on that, and why essentially, relying on them too much can have a really negative impact in our life, right? And a lot of people are, especially younger men or younger people in general. The internet can be a great place to kind of learn new things, but it can also be dangerous if you kind of push towards one path and don't consider the options, etc., or alternatives. So, and we'll get into that video now, so don't just bubble on forever. Also, continuing on from the previous video, so we've got our Coke Zero, and we're going strong. Okay. So the first point here is over glorification of online experts, right? So we're seeing more and more so-called experts for all fields online, some genuine and some not. So obviously you have very well-known people like Andrew Huberman, maybe Andrew Tate, if you call him some kind of guru, um, Alex Hormozy. There's so many people, right? And look, some are genuinely, really good at what they do, and they are experts in what they do, and they have evidence to prove it. And some are just, like me. I mean, I'm not a guru of any kind. I'm just kind of sharing my thoughts, but I don't really have any formal credentials. I haven't started a business. I haven't done anything like this. So, if I were selling you information and saying, "Oh, do this, do that," you should be careful because I'm not the type of person that you should be listening to, if that makes sense, for massive life things. Just because I'm not I'm not an expert, and obviously you haven't asked for formal advice from someone like me or someone qualified, right? The next point here is that there is no regulation, so really anyone can give advice on lots of different things, even if secretly destructive. So if someone says, for example, don't do cardio because that's really dumb and it'll make you skinny, right? And they instead say lift weights. I mean, the reality is not, this is obviously false. Like a lot of people can do both and do both really well. Being an Ironman, or completing an Ironman would take a lot of strength and determination, and a lot of the time people are very built up because of that. Um, and there are people who probably say, hey, this isn't so bad, or maybe you should pursue this. But the reality is, they're giving just general advice based on what they know. And again, what they know might only be 10% of an actual idea or topic, because again, what they're talking about is very it's not proper, and it's really just their thoughts, right? And nothing wrong with that, but just obviously take that into consideration. It can be great, don't get me wrong. Like I've learned a bunch. I've learned a bunch about running, finance, health, wealth, everything, right? Relationships, right? But you need to be careful who you listen to. So you need to be selective, obviously, and question people, right? Why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Why are they so pushy on X certain thing? And do your own research as a result, right? You don't want to be reliant on one, idea of thought. You want to definitely, contrast, question things, right? That's kind of the beauty of life, right? Just being able to question things and see where it takes you, and not just accepting what people tell you, right? There's so much information and resources around us for free, which make it really easy. Excuse me. Even those who are not providing advice, for example, finance gurus. So, even though someone like Graham Stephan, Andre Jick, Brian Jung, they might not actually explicitly say that they're giving advice, but they're on the border of giving advice. Really, it's a very fine line where they'll kind of explain what they're investing in, their theories, etc. And for a lot of people, they actually follow that investing strategy because they understand that, hey, these people are experts, or so-called experts, so I'm going to follow them and see what happens. And look, if you end up losing money, no one's to blame. If you end up making money, awesome. But there's no guarantee of anything like that. And especially when you're getting generalized advice from people who aren't actually qualified experts in their field. So just take that into consideration. Many of them, sorry, many of them also ultimately want to sell you on things and using their free advice as an online funnel. So, like, obviously a lot of people make money through YouTube and sharing ideas, etc. But a lot of other people will instead they sell the idea, or they sell a little bit of what you're wanting, and obviously encouraging you to pay for the rest. So nothing explicitly wrong with that. Obviously, it's a business and can be a very lucrative business for a lot of people, but just keep that in mind. The idea is for a lot of people to sell you on something. So if you're just looking and perusing, you're just kind of doing your own thing, you don't think too big of it. Just know you're getting a fragmented idea, and obviously what the ideal situation would be getting advice for you, but obviously that's paid. So just take what you hear as a grain of salt and as general advice, if that at all. Now, the next point here, which I thought was interesting, is are things being given to you too easily? All right. Today, information is so easily accessible. People summarize books and movies into 5-minute clips, even shorter. So it just makes it so that we're not having to think, we're not having to strain our thoughts at all to get what we want. And as a result, it means that you're not really going through the effort to learn, and thus you're not able to get that much depth in what you learn. And I think as well, this is a really big problem, because if you're only getting, if there's an idea, for example, religion, there could be only a few certain angles that you can learn just via gurus, right? Because they've obviously maybe heard it from someone else, or they've done their own research and then formulated an idea, right? So they've summarized maybe a month's worth of learning into a 10-minute clip. You're taking the 10-minute clip and using it as a gospel. That's kind of crazy, because they've done the work. They've actually come to that conclusion themselves using their own thinking, etc., and then completed that. If we're coming from and just taking that 10-minute clip and saying it's gospel, I mean, it's kind of crazy, because we don't have the evidence to back really anything up. We have no contrary arguments. We have nothing, because we've just taken what they've summarized essentially for us, right? You do need to consider that any online ideas are general. Only you slash an expert can advise otherwise. So with these ideas, you want to question things. You want to ask, is this what I want? Does this resonate with me? Is this correct? Is this, do the math? Is it true what they're saying, etc.? Question things. But ultimately, only you know yourself the best, obviously, slash an expert will be able to kind of advise based on your situation. There's coaches for everything nowadays: life coaches, financial coaches, obviously accountants, relationship coaches. There's pretty much someone for everything nowadays. If it's not a mainstream job, you can probably find them on Fiverr or ask someone to do it. So coaching and consulting is very popular nowadays, obviously. So that could be really interesting if you want to look into it. It's also very easy to feel productive, even if you haven't taken any action or achieved anything. So this is a really interesting point as well, where it's like, you've been given so much information, and it's great, don't get me wrong, but, feeling productive and actually being productive are two very different things. And a lot of this advice can make you feel productive, for sure, even if you haven't actually achieved anything. So it's almost like a little trap just to be aware of. And it just happens when you're kind of doom scrolling, or you're just scrolling, and lots of information is coming your way, right? Last page here is what's being sold to you what you actually want. So this is something that I thought was very interesting when it comes to gurus online and selling ideas. But it's common for people to sell common ideas. For example, start a business. Maybe it's do some alpha male thing. Maybe it's join jiu-jitsu. Maybe it's join boxing, etc. But what if you actually don't want to do a business? What if you want to be an employee? What if you don't like boxing? What if you want to run instead? You can do these things. So don't let anyone online tell you any differently than what you actually want to do, right? That's not a great way of doing things. Obviously, what you genuinely want deep down is going to be the best solution for you, right? It's cool what they think is right, but that's not always the case, right? And again, these are non-qualified experts. These are people giving their thoughts, essentially, right? It's about picking excuse me. It's about picking things that resonate with you and not following just because you're sold on the idea, right? Again, listen to 100 million people if you want. Pick the best ideas out of that. Don't just follow everyone, because you won't end up anywhere, because you're listening to a million different ideas. It's not the pardon me. It's not the ideal situation. Okay. I think the concept of having no idea what to do or being lost is okay. Gurus don't really showcase this. So a lot of the image that they're projecting is that they're kind of know-it-all, and they're all-encompassing, and it's a no-brainer to listen to them. But if you have no idea personally what you want to do in your life, or you're a little bit lost, totally fine. There's nothing inherently wrong with that. Arguably, I'm still lost, right? We're all a little bit lost. So totally fine. Don't even stress. Just continue on with life. Life goes on, and you'll figure things out. Okay. Last point here is, especially if you're not doing well, seeing everyone online live, my bad, perfect lives can be mentally draining. So if you're someone that's personally, not doing very well, maybe lean off it a little bit. It can be a very weird and interesting place, very bubbly, very, it's almost like the real world doesn't exist. So take what they say with a grain of salt. They're not experts. They're not the people that know it all and know how to fix all your problems. They can be helpful resources, and they can be interesting to shed light on new ideas. Right? Take it to that, and it's just ultimately at the end of the day, it's just people sharing their thoughts. Right? So yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, let me know down below. But otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.